today I'm going to show you why you're struggling to build muscle and how to fix it right now. As you all probably know, protein is the most important macro as it's the one that has the function of repairing the muscle tissue. Therefore, you need to hit your daily protein intake in order to rebuild that muscle tissue for it to grow. A lot of people struggle reaching their daily protein goal because they don't know which foods contain a lot of protein. So today I'm going to give you my top 5 proteins that I eat. They're going to have very high contents of protein, very healthy, whole foods, not processed foods. And let's get straight into it. So we're at the shop. Now it's time to get our proteins. As you can see, I'm going only for whole foods, no processed foods. They're not going to do you any good. We want to keep it all whole foods. So we head to the shop, we get our proteins, and we're going to head back home and start cooking them. So we're going to start by cooking the steak. I put a bit of olive oil on it. I put a bit of salt, a bit of pepper, but you can put any seasoning. Stick it right in the pan so it gets cooking. And whilst that's cooking, we're going to go on to our second protein, which is eggs. I like to mix my eggs with a bit of egg whites as they're not as fatty and I can get more protein out of them. So with these eggs, we're going to mix them together and we're going to use them to make scrambled eggs later. Once the steak is done, we're going to put it on a plate to rest and we're going to start cooking our eggs. We're going to turn them into scrambled eggs. So just to give it a bit of extra touch, we're going to put some cheese in, which is our third protein. Be careful with this because they can be very fatty, but they do have very high sources of protein. Once the eggs are done, we're going to stick them on the plate and there we have our first meal. So let's get stuck into it. As you can see, we have 3 high protein foods here in one meal. You've got the steak, the eggs, which I have mixed with egg whites, and a bit of mozzarella cheese. It's a very high protein meal, and if you eat these type of foods, you're going to reach your protein goal pretty easily. It's not as hard as it looks. For protein number 1, I'm going to recommend you have red meat, steak, or you can have beef because it's a very good protein, has antioxidants. When it comes to the second protein, we have eggs, which I have mixed with egg whites, and the third one is cheese. I use mozzarella because it's the highest protein one, but use it also in moderation because it contains quite a bit of fat. Something you guys need to know is that protein is the most important macro you need to eat in order to build muscle. Protein is basically the worker that is going to rebuild the muscle tissue in order to grow. They're whole foods, they're not processed foods, they're very healthy for you, they're going to help you reach your protein goal pretty easily. Very tasty. I always season mine with a bit of salt and pepper, but you can add any seasoning of your choice. Yeah, I'll leave the calories up here and the protein. Look how juicy that looks. So tasty. The next protein we have is chicken. Everybody's heard of this one. It's very high protein per gram, but it doesn't have to be chicken breast. You can have different parts of the chicken. Some are going to be a bit more fatty. You just need to know that. I'm having chicken legs here. I cook them in the oven with a bit of seasoning, and they're just a change from having chicken breast all the time. The next protein I'm going to recommend you have is chicken. I think the reason is pretty obvious, and it's because it's one of the foods with the highest protein per gram. You can have any type of chicken. You can have from chicken breast, chicken legs, chicken thighs, chicken wings. If you're on a bulk, you can go more towards the chicken legs and chicken thighs as they're a bit more fatty. And if you're on a cut, you can go towards chicken breast, which is a bit more lean. It's very nice. It's very healthy. You can never go wrong with it. It's white meat, and you can eat as much as you want and you won't have a problem. So if you're struggling to reach your protein goals, I recommend you have chicken. This is how much you can have in just 100 grams of chicken breast, which is a ton. The last protein on the list is fish. And in this case, I'm having salmon. I like to have mine fried in the frying pan, but you can have yours done in the oven if you like. And when it comes to fish, it's a bit like the meats where you can have a fattier one or a leaner one. If you want a fattier one, you go towards like salmon and tuna. And if you want a leaner one, you go towards a white fish. There is tons to choose from. And salmon and fish in general are just a very good source of omegas and good fats for the body, and leave a bit of variation in your diet so you don't get tired of having the same thing all the time. So the last protein that I'm going to recommend you have is fish. In this case, I'm having salmon. But there's other types of fish from different white fishes. Salmon is a very high source of protein and it's going to help you a lot. If you don't want to just stick to chicken or meat in general, you can go towards a fish route. It is a bit more expensive, but at least you have a bit of variation. I'll leave up here how many calories and protein this salmon has.